Man, it's finally over. These past 3 years have been an interesting scenario for film, but 2022, while I wouldn't consider it a great year for film, this does feel like a more forward step back to what film we knew years before the pandemic. And I think that while this wasn't an amazing year in film, we definitely did have some high moments in the movies released this year. So without further ado, my name is Dr. Rorschach, and this is my top 10 movies of 2022.
Lydia Tarr has also written music for the stage and screen. She is one of only 15 EGOTs, meaning those who have won all 4 major entertainment awards. Thank you for joining us, Maestro.
Thank you.
At number 10, I have Tar. Probably the most unknown film here. Tar is a terrific character piece showing the classic modern celebrity story of Icarus, how some celebrities can just fly too high to the sun, as you could say. How one of the most famous musicians of all time in this fictional world, who has achieved nothing but greatness and continuous critical acclaim, can slowly destroy their entire career over time just due to pure selfishness. This movie is really relevant to today, as it can easily be compared to real-life musicians that we're seeing, and it really tackles themes of cancel culture that are so often talked about. But not as one-sided as you may think regarding the cancel culture. However, the real star of this movie is Cate Blanchett's phenomenal performance here. This is a top career performance for her. And while you're watching her slow descent as an artist, you'll still feel the character's presence and confidence in her abilities in every single scene. Blanchett gave my second favorite actress performance this year, and I honestly fully expect her to be leading Oscar nominations and a possible even win for her this year.
Everyone here is the best there is. Who the hell are they going to get to teach us?
Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell. Let me be perfectly blunt.
At number 9, I have Top Gun Maverick. Oh man, what can I say about Top Gun Maverick at this point that already hasn't been said? It's an incredibly well-made movie in every single aspect. As someone who doesn't even care for the first Top Gun, this movie was probably the biggest surprise for me this year. I thought I was going to hate this movie, and I was so sick of its never-ending advertising campaign that started before the pandemic. But everything about this movie is just so well thought out. In a sense, I appreciate Top Gun Maverick for what it accomplished just as much as I appreciate it as an actual film. In an era of constant terrible reboots and continuations, this is going to be the best long-term sequel ever made, possibly. The cast is great, Tom Cruise is great in this movie, the jet scenes and all the choreography are masterfully filmed here, and all so real and brought to life. This movie is going to serve as a blueprint for decades to come on how to make a proper movie sequel.
Fate has no mercy.
At number 8, I have The Northman. Modern GOAT filmmaker Robert Eggers is back with his latest masterpiece, The Northman. After seeing one of my favorite movies of all time a few years ago, The Lighthouse,
You're fond of me lobster, ain't you?
I knew Eggers had extreme talent, specifically with his visuals, and in The Northman, Eggers does a terrific job taking his audience to this epic Viking-era world filled with politics, ideologies, and hints of mythology here and there. The Northman has some incredible battles and visuals going on in it, but the real highlight of this movie is just this classic Viking revenge story that it plays throughout its runtime. While I do think this is the weakest of Eggers' three films, this one is definitely much more welcoming to a wider audience. I can't say that if you're a person who feels like the same movie and franchises are pumped out repeatedly, please give this movie a try. It is an extremely fresh idea film that was much needed this year.
Are you crying?
It's just I find it all very moving.
So it's okay that I'm not as into this as you are. Oh my god.
You shouldn't be here tonight.
At number 7, I have The Menu. Another big surprise for me this year was The Menu. I didn't think I was going to enjoy or even see this film, judging by the trailers for it, but this movie actually had a lot more depth to it than I originally thought. The Menu satirizes both the extreme rich but also foodie culture. Tense throughout the entire movie, you're constantly on the edge of your seat to see what these insane characters are going to do and what's going to happen to them next in these rotation of surprises being pulled out from the chefs in this movie. This movie is also surprisingly very funny and is able to weave very dark bits of humor into scenes without interrupting the tense flow of a thriller. Also, Ralph Fiennes is absolutely terrific in this movie. He commands every scene he's in and makes a very thought-provoking antagonist, honestly.
I got you! I got you!
At number 6, I have The Batman. I just want to say that I'm so thankful for The Batman, especially because it has been an absolutely awful year for superhero films and almost the genre entirely.
Holy God, what are you showing me? Come on!
The Batman is another movie that has already had a ton of things said about it by this point, but simply putting it, while I think The Dark Knight is the best movie with Batman in it, this is the best Batman movie, if you get what I'm saying here. Director Matt Reeves created such an interesting world in this version of Gotham City. It's almost the star of the movie itself. Paul Dano and Colin Farrell steal the show in this movie, giving two of my favorite supervillain performances in modern DC films. I mean, they are absolutely incredible here. I know there's a more hot and cold feelings about Robert Pattinson as Batman, but he's so fresh to me here because he is Batman throughout most of the movie. Bruce Wayne isn't a big part of this. And after the Dark Knight trilogy really nailing the side of Bruce Wayne, I'm okay with that. I'm super excited to see the follow-up to this movie, and I can easily say that The Batman is the best superhero movie this year.
If Daddy catches us, there's no telling what he might do.
My wife is not well.
I want to be loved from as many people as possible. But truth is, I'm not really a good person.
At number 5, we actually have a tie, and that is between X and Pearl. So I'm cheating a little bit this year, but the reason for that is these two movies are connected, but they both came out in the same year and they both feature the same lead actress. So let's go over these two films real quick. X is an indie slasher film that pays a lot of homage to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre while centering its story of the adult film entertainment era in the 70s. The most incredible thing about this movie is the fact that if it wasn't for the modern resolution in it and the fact Kid Cudi's in it, you could have easily convinced me that this was a movie actually made in the 70s. It pays homage to that era so well while still keeping an original identity. This was my favorite horror movie this year. Alongside X, we have Pearl, a prequel to X. Pearl changes things up by being a character piece for the main villain of X, taking place in 1918. Yeah, for those of you keeping up, we kind of got a George Lucas situation going on with these two movies, believe it or not. Mia Goth playing Pearl here delivered my favorite performance by an actress this year. She is so tense and terrifying in so many scenes. There's an incredible monologue with Pearl in this movie that doesn't cut for nearly 5 minutes, showing just how talented of an actress Mia Goth is. We also have a lot of really neat homage to the Technicolor era of film in this movie, with homage being in movies like The Wizard of Oz or Mary Poppins. But yeah, these two movies are terrific, and I think people will be able to love one of them, if not both of them. I really recommend watching both of them in the order of X and then Pearl. For me, though, they do come very close, but I probably like Pearl just a little bit more than X, but that's just my preference, and I could probably see other people liking X more.
Welcome, gang. We got a great weekend.
Who's that?
Benoit Blanc, the detective?
Mr. Blanc, I cannot overstate my gratitude to be here. When's the murder mystery start?
At number 4, I have Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Glass Onion is the newest movie on my list and is a sequel to 2019's Knives Out. Glass Onion is a great example of how to do a sequel film in a specific genre like the murder mystery kind, changing up just enough while still being able to have unique parts to it that keep it fresh. Glass Onion also transitions more towards the comedy genre than Knives Out was, and I think this works stronger for the style of murder mystery movie that Rian Johnson is now making. The movie does a great job of flipping the genre on its head at moments with non-linear storytelling and more cartoonish, larger-than-life characters. The film does a lot of setup for reveals and punchlines, and most of them land very effectively in this film. This is also the first piece of media that has done actual good job at poking fun of the year of the pandemic, which is appreciated because so many jokes about the year of the pandemic can come off forced or cringy in several other medias. But overall, Glass Onion is a very worthy follow-up to Knives Out, and is my second favorite murder mystery movie this year.
Who wants to play bodies, bodies, bodies?
So how do you play?
If you draw the piece of paper that has the X on it,
You are the murderer.
let's go.
Cool.
At number 3, I have Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Man, this movie is just so much damn fun. For people who aren't familiar with this movie, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is a satirical murder mystery movie, but the punchline here is that it's with wealthy Gen Z girls and a few guys. On paper, this movie would sound like it would be annoying to other generations or be extremely condescending towards Gen Z. But this movie finds a perfect mix of satire that I believe multiple generations will be able to come together and enjoy this film. The movie rides this perfect line of satire with very witty dialogue as this group just absolutely falls apart trying to figure out who this murderer is and what's going on in this home that they're trapped in. I think audience members can also watch this and relate a lot of the characters to people they may have known at one point in life, such as back in college. This movie gave me some of the best laughs I had this year, and I really feel like this movie flipped the murder mystery genre on its head more than any movie in recent memory.
Now, if I've done something to you, just tell me what I've done to you.
When you didn't do anything to me, just don't like you no more.
You liked me yesterday.
At number 2, I have the Banshees of Inisherin. The Banshees of Inisherin is everything you could want from an old-fashioned drama. The movie asks a simple question of, what would you do if your lifelong best friend decided to stop being your friend without any reason or hindsight? Hearing that, you might say, well, that sounds quite simple, and you would be right, but this movie does an effective job in exploring themes of loneliness, self-legacy, and complex natures of friendship, all in this small town in Ireland. Colin Farrell continues to be one of the best actors alive in this film, showing deep despair, desperation, and at times true anger to just try and have his friend again and be back in a happier time of his life. Him reflecting off of Brendan Gleeson's more reserved and level-headed nature works masterfully here. I think a lot of viewers will be able to see themselves in either of these roles, reflecting back to when they had a friendship end over a specific reason. This movie has my favorite dialogue in a film this year, and I really think it'll be the upcoming winner of Best Picture from the Oscars. Alright, before number 1, let's go over some honorable mentions. First honorable mention is Pinocchio by Guillermo del Toro. Easily the best animated film this year. Stop-motion animation is absolutely remarkable. It is breathtaking how great this stop-motion animation is, and this film vastly outshines that awful Disney Pinocchio movie. My second honorable mention is The Fablemans. This movie is a terrific coming-of-age story, loosely about Steven Spielberg's life growing up. This movie is very heartfelt, and anybody interested in Steven Spielberg's story or just his style of film in general will get a good time from this movie. Last honorable mention is Barbarian, a huge surprise for horror movie this year. If you love horror, don't watch the trailer, don't read anything about this, just watch this movie. This movie will absolutely freak you out and disturb you at some moments. But I think part of this movie, what made it so much fun, was that they were very vague with the advertising, and you will not expect what goes on in this movie at all.
Now, you may only see a pile of receipts, but I see a story. It does not look good. What's happening?
All right, at number 1, my movie of the year is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Welcome back, A24. It's great to have you back on top again. For those counting, this is the third A24 film placement on this year's list. But Everything Everywhere All at Once is my movie of the year, and the only movie this year that I would give a perfect rating of 10 out of 10 to. It's a bit hard to quickly describe Everything Everywhere All at Once, but basically it's about a woman having to go through parallel universes to save the multiverse. I know that sounds like a crazy science fiction movie, but it's really not. The multiverse part of it takes the backseat to really focus this idea on self-discovery and contentness in one's life. Ideas like we shouldn't change the bad things that happen to us because we never know how those bad things led to good things in life. This movie spoke to me and made me have so much self-reflection, more than any movie in the past 5 years. There's so much to get out of this movie, from the relationships in it and the resolutions that our main character finds with her family to reach peace with herself. Michelle Yeoh is absolutely powerful in this film, and her transformation throughout the film from beginning to end really spoke to me here. Also, Ke Huy Quan also has a big return to acting in this film. He is absolutely incredible in this film and steals every scene he is in. It's also just really heartwarming to see him return like this after taking a break from acting after being a child actor. This movie is an example of the most beautiful side to cinema and storytelling, and is the exact reason I go and see almost every A24 movie that comes to theaters. And that is why Everything Everywhere All at Once is my 2022 movie of the year. So what do you guys think? Do you agree? Am I full of it? Let me know down in the comments. Tell me what your favorite movie of the year was. As usual, I am Dr. Rorschach. Thank you so much for watching. Hoping for some good movies in 2023, and I will see you next year.